even a microphone. Anyways, I just want to thank everybody for taking your time to come here to the art opening and the artist talk, and Ruda and Karen and David and John and Gail and everybody here. Thank you so much for the opportunity and your hard work. It really shows, so thank you so much. First off, I'll give you a little background about myself. I grew up in the cold state of Wisconsin, and I went to the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, where I had a double major in advertising and communications and also art and painting. And that took me a long 6 years to finish that. And then 2 years I worked in cable advertising, designing and selling commercials, and sort of had this aha moment where this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so then I really didn't have the time to do my art, and so then I decided to go back to graduate school. And the schools that I thought that I was going to get accepted into, I didn't, and I got accepted into Notre Dame or the Academy of Art University. It was college when I got accepted in San Francisco. So my husband and I, the good guy right here, I dragged him out, and we both came out for graduate school, and I completed my master's at the Academy of Art College. So I've been here in Northern California for approximately, I'd say, 13 years, and I've been a full-time artist for about 10 years, and I've been teaching at the Academy of Art University abstract interpretation and critical thinking, currently right now. So how does that go into my work? So I will get into my work. So I work in 3 bodies of work, as you can probably tell. The acrylic sculptures right behind you, the paintings on panel, and the pen and ink drawings. And my main fascination is with dichotomous relationships. And that's rooted in the fact that I'm ambidextrous. I paint and draw with both hands. So my left hand creates beautiful lyrical lines and elegant lines, while my right hand is very obsessive and straight and anal retentive and creates really precise lines. So dichotomous relationships are a really important factor for me. So what do I mean by that? I mean by simple and complex. So simple could be seeing a simple straight line and then something from a stem cell research and under a microscope and seeing a cell. So those type of relationships. Another relationship that I'm really fascinated with is beauty and the grotesque. So beauty could be Yosemite to me for nature, and then grotesque could be, I had my art studio in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and if you don't know where the Tenderloin is, sort of a tough area. It's not really where you want to bring family, and so that I would consider a grotesque area. And so another relationship, dichotomous relationship for me, is man-made and natural settings. So I'm a huge architecture fan. So if you know the architect Zaha Hadid, she's one of my favorite architects. So I love to look at the contrast between her architecture and a natural setting like Yellowstone, Yosemite again, and find those relationships. And so the last dichotomous relationship I'm interested in is the micro and the macro. And so today, my husband and I went to the beach with our golden retriever, and so I had my hand in the sand. So that'd be something micro to me, to something where I was just at the Kennedy Space Center and we were watching something about the Hubble telescope, and so that would be a macro relationship. So I'm sorry if that was a blah, 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 a lot of information. So break it down to my art is about dichotomous relationships, and that would tailor into patterns. So I'm really fascinated with line and pattern. So I will first start out with my paintings. My paintings have up to 13 layers of paint, and they're all done on wood custom-made panels, and they take 2 to 3 years to finish. The solvents that I use are stand oil, linseed oil, and a solvent called Gamsol, which is a healthier version of terpenoid, and sometimes liquid. And so if it's a particularly wet season, these certain areas where the wrinkle patterns are right here, this is where I took stand oil and a percentage of oil paint. I have to squeeze out the excess with a pen in order for me to do another layer on top of it to create this wrinkle pattern right here. And the top layer, usually depending on this type of finish I want, either a satin, a shiny, or a flat matte surface, is either Gambar, which is a UV protectant, or Soluvar, which is another medium that is like a UV protectant, but also I like using Soluvar because it pops out all the 13 layers, and you can really see it, and it creates more contrast with that. So the sizes, the range that I work in the paintings is from 6 by 6 inches to the 84 by 84 inch painting. That's probably the biggest size I can get in my studio right now. And I pulled my back out a couple times on that size, so I have to think about next time if I'm going to work bigger. I'm going to have to solicit my husband for some help on the team. So the second body of work that I work on, I go from the paint, when I'm not working on the paintings because they take so long to dry, I'm not going to sit and twiddle my thumbs waiting for oil paint. I work on the pen and ink drawings and the acrylic installations. And so the pen and ink drawings range from 3 by 3 inches to the 360 inch installation. That's the size range. They are basically, they are part of that investigation of the dichotomous relationships and patterns in nature. And so I will go to the acrylic installation. Maybe we can walk back here to the one on the wall. Anybody can stop me anytime if you have questions. So how I started the process on these acrylic installations, there's multiple different ways I start these. I use either foam core or mat board or paper, and I sort of build the shapes, or I do sketches for the shapes that are flat. I might first start also through Adobe Illustrator and draw out sort of shapes that I want to be cut through a laser cutter. So these shapes, where I did sort of thin shapes like this, all the sheets of acrylic I get are flat, and I use a heat source to bend those shapes. Now I have to be very, very careful because acrylic can yellow and bubble and crack, and so you have to be through a lot of time and effort and trial and error, I've learned certain thicknesses of the acrylic work better than others to sort of get the shape that I want. And then the 1/4 inch acrylic works best for me because I can hold it and sort of mold it after I get done heating it and getting sort of a bend that I want. I can hold it in place. And so also sometimes I have to get the sheets fabricated. For example, I made a design of a flat, long sheet with these lines in it, and I have I've got 2 different fabricators that I work in San Francisco that will create the lines for me. I pick up the sheets, then I bend them to the shape that I want. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people have asked me why white, and I work in white because I did try to bend it in some other colors, but I didn't like how the heat changed the color in the bend. And so until I find sort of a thickness and a color that I feel like I'm going to like in the future, I can see these having maybe color, but I just haven't found the color that I like to have the consistent results that I want with it. And so this piece in particular is focusing on that dichotomous relationship between flat and then complex shapes, positive and negative shapes, where this one is the negative shape and some of these are the thinner shapes out of it. I love taking questions for anybody. I don't want to take all of Gail's time here.
Does it take strength, or is it more kind of care?
It's actually, that's a really wonderful question. It's both.
Yeah.
And so I've learned sort of the hard way where when I was heating it, but then I have to bend it, and sometimes you need maybe another person, but I'm the one sort of experimenting by myself, trying not to burn down my place. But yes, it's both. It's both. Mm-hmm. So I have to wear leather gloves because I can heat up to temperatures up to 800 degrees. Mm-hmm. And I've already gone through a couple set of leather gloves because it's worn through.
Wow.
Do you see any potential for mixed media?
You know, that's actually...
To get color on your white?
You know, that's a really good question. I started experimenting with flat plexi clear and then creating lines in it and then having the same colors of sheet of acrylic behind it. And because I'm going to be having, I'm going to be at the artist studio, the DM, in next September, and on the outside of their facade is circles that mimic the patterns of leaves from the architects that designed that. And so I started buying circular acrylic pieces and scratching into it. So I'm almost to that point with color. I'm just not 100% happy yet with it.
And how do you put together the entire installation? Because you're doing like a 60-inch or 70-inch installation of multiple pieces. How does that happen?
Well, what usually happens is, that's another really good question too, is the whole downstairs in my home office gets destroyed with pieces all over. And then I pull down a big piece of black velvet and I throw all the pieces down and I look at it and sort of let them sit for a couple of days and then rearrange it over and over again. But for the last 2 years I've been sort of fascinated with the circle shape, where I've even ordered panels in a circle shape. So I find it interesting that Gail and I have this circle common theme in our works and for the show. I find that really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you'll certainly have an opportunity to talk to Jenny some more about her work, but I'd also like to give Jen